Laugh or else.
This kid that got shot by the cops, obviously it was a bit excessive. I seen the video.
A lot excessive, man.
He looked like he might have been wielding something, and that would have warranted maybe a couple of shots, but not 16.
Well, he wasn't even walking towards the cops, though. That's the thing, though.
He was in the street, and he had his hand behind his back like he might have been brandishing, and that's all a cop needs to shoot, dude. If he thinks you're carrying something.
Yeah, but I can see if he wasn't marching towards them in an intimidating fashion.
No,
he
but
he was walking away from them, and they basically executed this kid, this young man. And the whole situation is ugly all around. I suppose that the charges, and they are charging that said individual, the cop, with first-degree murder, as you know.
Yeah, but I failed to think that all of them shots came just from him. I kind of think maybe 2 other cops might have had a few bullets in that kid's body.
And even though that they keep posting a picture of this gentleman and his Laquan McDonald is his name. They keep a picture of Mr. McDonald in his graduation cap. He did have a rap sheet, and he was committing some crimes, and that's the reason that the police were called. But bottom line is, I feel, Tim, that it wasn't right. He's walking away from the cops. He's trying to be non-confrontational. I think he was had, and yet this cop, who also had a history of complaints and some questionable activities on his rap sheet, basically has unloaded his clip on him, if not more, like you were saying.
Yeah, dude.
And it's disgusting all around, man. It doesn't. And I have family that's on the force. It just, from what it is, I mean, the whole one bad apple, Tim. It's sad all around, man. This is not as good as and we got the movie release for Chiraq. Speaking of, coming out in a couple weeks, man. It's a bad situation for everybody.
I don't know how the world's gonna take to that movie. I mean, it's already bad enough that Chicago's earned that moniker.
Right.
I mean, how can it get that bad to where, like, Detroit, New York, L.A., none of them are even in the running?
Washington, D.C., which was a murder capital a few years ago.
Yeah, and none of them are even anywhere close in comparison for statistics.
Right. Well, I mean, Spike Lee was interviewed locally, and he did have pretty good response. I mean, it was a pretty politically correct response. He's like, I didn't come up with the Chiraq moniker. That was, given by the rappers and by the local community leaders. And you can't fight the facts, Tim. I mean, he was saying he was like, the weekend that they were shooting here, the time they were shooting here, X number of murders, X number of shootings. It is what it is. We're living in violent time, and unfortunately we have that. It's just, it's time to use, better common sense, and it starts with the community. It starts with the family, man. It's got to have that family, it takes a village type of mentality.
Right, but if your village is in the squirrels of poverty in the city, and there's no brightness, there's no illumination from the dark.
Right, there's no hope.
It's gonna be a continuous cycle of just a cyclical cycle of poverty and violence, and
no, of course.
And that's kind of manufactured, dude. It's not. These people don't live in these areas because they chose to live there.
Right.
It's because it's the only place they can
by
live.
Circumstance. No, I feel you there, man. It's just like I said. It's a bad thing all around. It's bad enough where my family's from in Latin America, which is already third world poverty. That they're saying, man, I heard Chicago is just crazy, and you walk down the street, you have a chance of getting shot or killed, or how messed up is that? There's other people from other parts of the world who have it. They think they have it even worse, and here they are hearing stories about us.
Like if I were to read the headlines for this weekend, how many kids were murdered or shot at, or it's at least a dozen every weekend.
Right.
And how do you combat it? What do you do? What's the solution? How do we treat it?
It's just, education, man. It also comes down to that.
Yeah, but we live
the parents and the community. And
we live in Crook County. They destroyed 51 schools since last year.
I know.
Where are these kids gonna go now?
They're
gonna run the streets because there ain't nowhere to go.
There's nowhere to go.
And then if they do find a school to get bussed into, it's overcrowded, and the kids aren't getting the attention they deserve. Dude, it's a cycle.
Absolutely.
History repeats itself because it was built to maintain that momentum.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. And it's such a diverse town as, Chicago, 8 million people here.
Yeah.
Like, there's just going to be poverty everywhere.
Of course. No, understood. It's just like I said, it's sad when it hits your backyard, though,
Yeah,
like
dude.
it's sad when we have people and everything that we know in certain communities that aren't safe to be in their own habitat. And the only thing that I can say, the only positive thing to come out of this, Tim, I don't know if you agree with me or not. This might be a controversial answer or comment I'm making here. The only positive thing that come out of this is ISIS. Want some? Get some, kid.
Oh.
I'll tell you that. They come into Chicago. Woo!
Oh man, they don't know what's gonna hit them.
Oh Lord, I'll tell you that, man.
Just some West Side gangsters take care of business.
That's right. Like do our dirty work, man. Y'all want to go trigger happy? Go ahead, man.
There you go.
Knock yourself out,
Right.
man. Fight the real enemy.
But and then the abortion clinic thing that happened yesterday.
Oh, in Colorado.
Like, how long was this standoff, dude?
It was a while, and this individual kept shooting while he was inside.
Yeah, and at first, when I first turned on the news, it was like 6:30, and it said like 11 people are dead, blah blah blah, this and that. This morning, I read the paper. It's like 3 people died, 1 was a cop.
Yeah.
Like, how do you exaggerate numbers like that? And then during the reports all day on the news, they're like, well, I don't want to say too much to give away some locations and tactical advantages. Like, then don't report it till after it happens.
Right.
I don't
Because it
understand
sells,
it.
you know that. All
Dude,
that
fear.
crime and misery sells. Of course it does.
I call it fear porn,
Right.
dude. Because like,
Right.
once you watch it, you're like, you can't look away.
Right.
You know.
And I thought Colorado was cool like that, man. I thought you landed in Colorado, it was like a fog of everybody just partaking.
Yeah.
And everybody's just like, man, everybody's happy and thirsty and just, they forgot what they were just talking about, man. And,
Yeah.
And here we go. This is the second major shooting. And then the last one was, what, about 3 years ago, 4 years ago with the Dark Knight Rises shooting?
That was Colorado.
Right.
Well,
And
what about
Aurora.
Columbine?
Yeah, and that one too, man. You're
Yeah.
talking about in the past,
In the
20
past
years.
15 years, there's been 3 major active
Right.
shooter events in Colorado.
And it's horrible, man.
Well, it's because of their gun laws there. Like,
Yeah.
nobody's armed at all. This stuff don't happen in Illinois, man.
Yeah.
You're not gonna see a movie theater because there's some guy in a parking lot that got 12 AKs of his own, or
Right.
just a couple of handguns or something.
Unless he's selling them to the moviegoers, and that's different. Then that's okay.
Yeah, let me get some popcorn, some jujubes.
That's right.
And a
And a
M16.
loaded 40. That's right, man.
Yeah.
That's right. This movie's so good, I gotta bust a cap up in here,
Yeah.
y'all.
You know how you do.
You know that.
It's like a Russell Simmons Def Jam crowd. Anyway, this is the LOERadio Show. If you wanted to reach out, you could do so by calling the phone number area code 847-866-9687. Again, that number is area code 847-866-WNUR.